From a skeleton of a weird, gigantic, ancient mastodon to a graveyard of children who were experimented on by an evil scientist, here are 11 of the scariest things ever found in people's backyards. Number 11. Giant bomb in British University. Exeter, a community in southern England, was rocked quite literally by a massive 1-ton bomb that had been left over from World War II. It was discovered underground in a backyard lot that was slated to be redeveloped with some new buildings, and the authorities had to make a tough decision. This was actually near the University of Exeter, where many students were forcibly relocated for what would be a shocking scene. The authorities blew up the bomb because they could not be certain that they were able to defuse it. Therefore, everyone in a massive circle around the bomb's buried location had to leave the area. It was distressing for all involved, and it got even more shocking when footage was released of the bomb being much more explosive than was previously thought. The bomb shattered windows nearby, tossed steel girders into houses and apartments around the university campus, and caused millions of dollars worth of damage. Insurance companies were probably not happy about the result. Students were concerned and alarmed as well, and many said they couldn't really focus on their work when they were being evacuated for bomb threats. Just imagine your dorm room being evacuated because out in the backyard there was a secret bomb sitting there. Of course, the oldest members of the town laughed at that, as they recalled having to carry on with their daily lives 80 years ago, when the bombs were not only live, but falling from the sky daily during World War II. Number 10. 13,000-year-old creature. We find many things in our backyards, and it depends on where you are in the world. Where people in one part of the world might find Greek ruins, others might find landmines or toxic waste. In this case, boys found the bones of something amazing. When I read of the discovery of the remains of an ancient species, I cringed to think of the various possibilities that humans might be next on the list of creatures whose bones will be discovered by future civilizations who will not remember us. But this creature was remembered after Eric and Andrew, 11 years old, were constructing a dam in the stream behind Eric's house and came across a strange-looking rock. The rock turned out to be a vertebra from a 13,000-year-old mastodon skeleton. For the last 10,000 years, mastodons have been extinct. Until a paleontologist told her otherwise, Eric's mother thought it was a cow bone. The boys considered putting the bone up for auction on eBay. Imagine buying a priceless fossil of an extinct mastodon on the same website people use to sell their old basketball shoes or baseball cards. The bones of 13,000-year-old creatures are not very creepy, but they are an eerie reminder of what happens to organic life in the long run on our planet, and a harsh reminder of the fragile mortality of our lifespan compared to that of our planet. Number 9. 16-million-year-old bones. Gary Johnson saw a huge rock protruding from the earth in his backyard in California in 1978. The rock seemed to be a skeleton to his untrained eye. He consulted an advisor, who informed him that the rock was useless. For more than 35 years, Gary's rock sat in his backyard. Fast forward to 2014, when Gary heard on the radio that a 12-million-year-old sperm whale skull had been found only a few hundred yards from his home. Gary contacted a paleontologist from the Natural History Museum this time. The rock wasn't really a rock, but the bones of a very rare baleen whale that lived 14 to 16 million years ago. The first specialist now seems to be a complete moron. There is also a theory that the first expert lied in order to convince the man to give up the remains so that he could take them instead. It didn't work, but it seems totally disingenuous. It really makes you think of how much the planet has changed. This makes you think of the scary unknown embedded within the constant drastic change on this planet and what it does to its inhabitants as it changes. This little blue planet of ours is out to get us. It might not be immediate, but it is definitely coming. What do you think? Is human extinction going to happen? Will global warming be the cause? Or something else entirely? Tell me your opinion in the comments section below. Then remember to subscribe to The Biggest if you haven't already for more amazing videos just like this one. Number 8. Fallout Shelter. For 10 years, the Zwick family lived next to an underground fallout shelter in their Wisconsin backyard before exploring it. I don't blame them, human remains may have been there. Fortunately, the shelter's contents were mostly harmless. No ghosts or corpses were there. During the Cold War, the fallout shelter was equipped with food, clothes, medical supplies, torches, flashlights, batteries, and other survival products. Within there was a microwave, a space heater, and some candles. It wouldn't have been a fun place to ride out a nuclear strike or the fallout afterward, but apparently some people were survivalists and thought that it was the best option for them. This is a reminder of how even if a location has a peaceful present, it could hide a dark part of a grim future. The same garden people thought they would suffer nuclear attacks in is one where children play with no concern of knowing how to use their bunker in case the sky starts raining unholy, toxic, radioactive flames. Fortunately, we don't seem to be in imminent danger of a nuclear apocalypse right now, but this relic means that the specter of death lingers for a long time over a peaceful place like this backyard. Number 7. Deadly Riches. When collecting broccoli from his garden in 2011, Wayne S., a man in his 50s from Illinois, discovered a bag containing $150,000 buried in his backyard. He was unemployed at the time, so the discovery was serendipitous. He informed the authorities about the funds, promising to demand them if they were not claimed by the end of 2012. Dolores Johnson, Wayne's 87-year-old neighbor, claimed the money was hers. She explained that the money was cursed, so she buried it. Since Dolores was suffering from dementia, no one saw the cursed part. That was a huge blunder. She passed away soon after the money was returned to her, which was eerie and bizarre, but an old woman's passing isn't that unusual. However, then the money was given to Dolores' daughter after Wayne was awarded a bonus. Wayne died 10 days before obtaining his bonus money though, which was extremely strange. This is a coincidence, but not one that is normal by any stretch of the word. If two people who got money died, would you want to be next in line if you got a piece of the pie? Or do you not believe anything bad would befall you if you claimed this money? Number 6. 1,000-year-old native. A 14-year-old boy from Salt Lake City was digging a trout pond in his backyard, as 14-year-old boys do. The digging went well until the boy came across the 1,000-year-old bones of a Native American. Anyone who has seen a horror movie knows how dangerous it is to discover Native American bones hidden under your home. However, this really does make you think that what if this happens to you in the future? They lay your body to rest, then years later, people merely stumble upon your remains, and some even put you in a top 10 list on YouTube. Imagine having a time machine and going back to tell this man that 1,000 years from now, some 14-year-old kid would dig up whatever is left of him, then through the miracle of a smartphone, he would decide to share the news and pictures with millions from around the world. Number 5. Animal skeletons in strollers. A crew of home cleanup workers, led by a man named Lorne Kaplan, discovered an antique stroller collection in the attic of a 200-year-old farmhouse in Ossining, New York. Kaplan discovered one beautifully swaddled, fully preserved skeleton of a tiny animal in each one. As if that wasn't gross enough, there were more than 10 dogs and cats, as well as squirrels and raccoons. Imagine the circumstances that led to this. Was it a sad old lady longing for a child, but due to the different lifespans of humans and the average pet, she had to bury many of her fur babies? Or maybe it was sick, twisted kids playing a prank. And what about the dead animals? How did they die? Was it roadkill? Or did someone have a hit list of animal corpses to put in baby carts? Regardless, the whole situation is spooky. Number 4. The Mad Dentist. On May 19th, 1933 in the UK, Miles Phillips, a man in his early 30s, was digging in his yard to make a small pool when the diggers unearthed something haunting. It was the bodies of 38 children, believed to be dating back to 1666, when children used to sweep chimneys. The story only gets creepier from here. The children had various dental instruments in their remains. These devices are considered cruel and brutal in modern times. No historic reports detail children missing in that area, which is strange. There are many theories, one of which is that since there was a plague at the time, it could have been someone who could have taken bodies from children who died from chimney sweeping or the disease. That would explain why no one reported them to the tabloids or authorities. And another theory is that they were the mad dentist's own children or patients, and his wife was the nurse that also provided the test subjects. Terrifying stuff. Number 3. Bones found by a little boy. Although certain strange discoveries, such as buried treasure, have the potential to improve your life, others are an absolute nightmare. In March 2014, the unexpected occurred once more when a young boy from Utah spotted a curious object near his parents' backyard pond. Of course, they called the cops straight away, and the bones were confirmed to be human remains. The bones were taken to the state medical examiner for expert examination, and it was discovered that they belonged to a Native American who lived thousands of years ago in Utah. Normally, the place would be considered a graveyard, but the human remains were the only ones found in that area, which only leaves you with more questions than answers. I wonder what happened to this person that left him buried all alone. Perhaps we will never truly know what happened to him. Number 2, a 250 million year old pliosaur dinosaur bone. One day, a man named John Lambert noticed an oddly big bone at the far end of his yard when attempting to repair the fence in his backyard. Of course, John immediately considered locating a paleontologist with whom he might discuss the object's historical significance. But in any case, the man never took the opportunity to do so. He must have persuaded himself that it was worthless, so he stored it in his shed for another 16 years. After a couple more years of waiting, John decided to carry the bone to the Ipswich Museum, where experts checked the bone's historical importance. The scientists were astounded to learn that this person had no idea that the dinosaur bone he was holding was from a 250 million year old pliosaur. The creepy and scary part about all of this is easy to see when you picture this giant monster of a dinosaur. Of course, if that species was still alive today, no one would dare go for a swim in the ocean with that massive sea monster searching for prey. Do you think humans could even continue to live our normal lives if giant beasts like the pliosaur still roamed the earth? Or would we have a Godzilla-like situation? Number 1. Babies in a jar. A cleaning crew discovered an eerie secret when renovating an old house in Hannibal, Missouri. 2 jars of formaldehyde, each holding 1 preserved fetus, sat in the dusty cellar. The workers, shocked and frightened, wanted to learn more. They inquired about their startling finding with the property's holders. He exposed the unsettling reality. Once upon a time, the building was used as an unofficial abortion clinic. Just imagine putting a fetus in a jar more than once and keeping it so well preserved and visible that it could still be a nightmare years later. Even if it was a clinic, the jars make it something straight out of a horror movie and means that there was more than meets the eye. That is what happens when things like this are outlawed. They allow creeps and evil people to conduct this business underground. That was a list of some very awful and creepy things in people's backyards, but I'm curious to know if you have any stories of creepy findings of your own. Share your stories in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can get the next video very soon. See you next time!